So a much tougher schedule for Rutgers in 2025. What does that mean for their projection? Well, let's look back at the last 4 seasons when we've been doing these projections, and we'll go to 2021. They were projected to go 6-6. They went 5-7. In 2022, projected to go 5-7. They went 4-8. And then in 2023, projected to go 4-8. They went 6-6. So they did beat the projection that year. And then last season, were projected to go 7-5. They went 7-5. A big reason why that projection was that high was because of the schedule and how favorable it was. Not so much the case this year. But yeah, again, you look at where they've been throughout these last 4 seasons. A couple of years they were down 1 game. They missed the projection by 1 game. And then in 2023, they were 2 games over. But last year, the projection was right on the money. And this is not a prediction. I don't do predictions until after spring practice, until after Memorial Day. That's usually when we start doing those. This is simply a projected record based off of the formula that we created, and it's all based off of our tier rankings. And Rutgers is a tier 4 team, I believe. So that's where they come in, and are actually tier 5. So Rutgers in tier 5, and just for reference, there are 6 tiers in the Power 4. So they are 1 tier away from that bottom tier, and maybe that's a little low. Maybe I'm underrating this team, but I look at all the losses on defense and just the fact that Rutgers traditionally not a powerhouse team. So yeah, keep that in mind. Maybe I'm underrating them a little bit. Maybe the projection will come out a little bit low. But here's the schedule. This is the scale that we use. As you can see here, if they play a team in the same tier, it'll be a 50-50 game. If they play a team in a tier below them, that drops it to a 61 to 70% game. But if that game's on the road, then it's a 50-50 game. That's kind of the way this works. We kind of look at it in terms of point spreads. This is not how the formula was created, but it usually works out pretty well this way. So the 40 to 60% games, those are the games where the spreads more than likely are going to be 3, 4, 5 points. 61 to 70, we're talking about spreads near a touchdown. 6, 7, 8, 9. 71 to 80 games where the point spread will be double digits, and then over 80, those are pretty much guaranteed wins. Games where the point spread should be 20 or more. And so I think you've really got 1 guaranteed win, 1 easy win. That's Norfolk State. I think Rutgers should be able to take care of business with no problems there. But then you look at a couple of MAC opponents. I put them in the blue because these are teams that have finished near the top of the MAC almost every year. They were at the top last year. These will not be easy wins. I think Rutgers will be double-digit favorites in these games, but not 20, not even probably, I would say around 14 maybe. That's probably about where the point spread will be for these 2 games. These are quality teams out of the MAC, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Rutgers was to lose one of these 2 games. I don't think they would lose them both, but they could lose one. Now, if they bring their A game, if they play like they should be able to take care of business in these games. But I do think both of these games will wind up being competitive, and Rutgers definitely going to have to play good football to win both of them. So those are your 3 easier wins, all in the non-conference. And then you go to the conference schedule. Really, they're not going to be favored by much, if at all, in any other games. You've got Iowa and Washington. I think they're going to be about a touchdown underdog in both of these games. These will be tough. Washington I have in a tier just above Rutgers. Iowa have a couple of tiers above Rutgers, but that game's at home, so it gives them a better chance. But yeah, those will be games that'll be tough for Rutgers to win. They're going to need to pull off an upset if they're going to win one of those games. And then we've got Minnesota. They're in the same tier as Iowa, but that game is on the road, so that one becomes even tougher. I think Rutgers probably is about a 10-point underdog in this one on the road. So 3 games that they could possibly win, but it'll be tough to get victories in those games. And then you've got the games where they're going to be big underdogs: Oregon, Illinois, Ohio State, Penn State. Now, Illinois is a tier 2 team, but because that game is on the road, it actually bumps that into the red, and you can pretty much count these 4 games as losses. So if you've already got 4 losses on the schedule, again, it's going to be tough for this team just to get to a bowl game this year. Purdue and Maryland, those are your 50-50 games. Those are the games that you've got to win. Purdue, Rutgers in a tier above Purdue, but the game is on the road. That'll be a tough one. Maryland in the same tier as Rutgers. Rutgers really needs to win that one. These will be tough, but very winnable games, and really games that could go either way. So for Rutgers, you got to win your 50-50 games. You got to take care of business in the non-conference. That gets you to 5 wins. And then they got to pull off an upset, and that's just to get to a bowl game. They will have to pull off one upset at least just to get to a bowl game, and that's going to be tough. Now, the odds would say that they're probably going to, if they lose all the games where they're underdogs, Ohio State, Penn State, Illinois, Oregon, Washington, Minnesota, Iowa, that's 7 losses right there. And then if you split the Purdue and Maryland games, you're looking at a 4-8 record, and that is actually what the projection is. So a 4-8 projection for Rutgers, that is very low considering where they were last year. I don't think that is as much indicative of how good this team is going to be. I think it's more about the schedule. This is just a brutal schedule. If we put Maryland in the same schedule, if we gave Maryland this same schedule and we put Rutgers in there in place of Maryland on the schedule, their projection would be 4-8. So it's just a really tough schedule, and I think it's going to be tough for Rutgers to get to a bowl game. But if they can pull off an upset somewhere, win these 50-50 games, there is a path for them to get to 6-6.